The voice of sharing. 旅人的香。
Hi, good morning. Happy to all. How are you? My co-host for today.
I'm good, Arlene. How are you?
I'm fine. Today we have here Gauri, my new co-host.
Hello.
So we are going to start fresh today with Bangkok Post. The headline of today's top 10 Asian news is EC presses government over fresh poll. So the EC faced several problems, especially in the south of Bangkok, where protesters disrupted votings and candidate registration in many of the constituencies. Voting could not take place in 28 constituencies inside southern province of Thailand because no candidates were registered due to the blockade of registration venues by protesters. So it seems like the protesters there are so eager to stop anyone from registrations.
Yeah, and it seems that they can get really violent as well, and that is not safe for the candidates who are contesting, which is why the EC is now planning to push for a regulation so the candidates can also apply by mail or register online and don't actually have to present themselves at the designated venues. Because as you know, the protesters are there and it can be quite dangerous for them as well.
Well, even though protest is a positive sign, I believe, we should have the right to protest. But I think when it comes to, freedom of expression, you should not block other people's right, to do the registration, to practice the process of democracy itself. So it's a two-way thing, I guess.
Yeah, because it's not doing anyone any favors as well. Them being there, blocking their expressing their rights, but at the same time, they're inconveniencing the entire election process. So it's kind of really unthoughtful of them to do that.
That's true. So the next one is from Jakarta Globe. The headline was Indonesia's widening wealth gap becomes a key issue in presidential elections. So when it comes to President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, his goal is to reduce poverty before he stepped down. But unfortunately, after a decade in power, he's actually threatened by a widening gap of the rich and the poor. And in fact, this is actually restraining the growth of Southeast Asia's largest economy, which is Indonesia, as the consumption by the poorest half of the country stagnated last year, according to the World Bank.
Yes,
So-
because most of them are still living under poverty, and I think most of them are actually living under $1 a day.
Yeah, and in fact, he promised to lower the percentage of the poverty, which is at about 14%.
Yeah,
But after a decade, it's still the
it's
same.
still there. Yeah,
It's still 14.
He said he was going to cut it down by at least half, make it 7 or 8, but it's still at 14.
So unfortunately, Yudhoyono's successor will inherit in an economy growing at the slowest pace since since 2009, and a volatile rupiah that was Asia's worst performing currency last year. So
Yeah, it's very unfortunate for whoever's taking after him because they're gonna work twice as hard to cover up for trying to make amends for all the mess made and
and but there's another thing that I keep on questioning myself when reading this is, although it's an Indonesian problem, but the widening economic gap is not an Indonesian problem per se, because it's actually a Southeast Asian problem. And I think this is where, ASEAN, needs to address this issue collectively.
yes, you're right, because even in Malaysia we're having the same problem between the rich and the poor. How the gap is really wide, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. So yeah, it's not just in Indonesia, but it's probably the worst in Indonesia. But
That's
we're all
true.
kind of facing the same problem here.
So the next one is by the Cambodia Daily. So the headline was Lawmakers stole no insults during campaign. So the story was the NEC, the National Election Committee in Cambodia, directive orders parties not to use the council campaign period to insult other politicians or political parties, by mentioning past crimes or violent acts, or use immoral or inciting language, discriminate in any way, or sow fear that could spoil social order. So the NEC said this in conjunction with what happened earlier, which the opposition leader Sam Rainsy announced that the CNRP, which is his party, would use the campaign period to restart mass demonstration that has been summarily banned by the government since early January. What do you think? What's your take about this?
I think that the NEC was probably right. It's not good. It's not proper actually to insult the opposing party, the opposing politicians during the campaign period. But it's very disturbing here that they mentioned past crimes and violent acts. So I think if anyone from the opposing party has actually committed crimes or violent acts, the people deserve to know, but probably not by insulting them. Maybe that's not the way to.
But
go
during
about
campaign
doing
time is the time where you a lot of political parties usually would open the skeleton in the closet of each other, I think. And I mean, it could be a propaganda move by the NEC, because the NEC is directly under the the Prime Minister Hun Sen, and it is a way also to hinder the momentum of the opposition leader during at the campaign itself. So in a way, I think it could be a political move for them to
Yeah, it could be just like a thing to distract them.
Yeah. So anyway, move on to the next one, which is by Vientiane Times. This one, the story is about the new air traffic control system set has been installed. So the new equipment hasn't been installed yet. It's to be installed. So it will be installed in aviation and meteorology office at all airports across the country to transmit meteorological information to the main office in Vientiane in order to provide up-to-date information for pilots before takeoff. So in a way, it's a story to say that they finally have a new air traffic control.
Yeah, it's also kind of really relevant at this point of time with the MH370 going missing.
That's true.
Because the aim of installing this technology is to ensure smooth and fast aviation communication between the air traffic commanders and those in the province. And this technology also it alerts the aircraft pilots of whatever potential hazards along the flight route or the location that could affect the safety of the flight.
Yeah, I guess it's a positive news in Laos. From Laos, we go to Vietnam. So in Vietnam, the Vietnamese Buddhist leaders are being house arrest in his own temple. And the religious leaders the story is like this: the religious leaders are placed under house arrest due to the communist government that touts the merits of atheism above all other belief system. So the religious leaders say that they have very poor religious freedom. It's totally different from Malaysia.
Oh, yeah.
I would say. I mean, because they are using, in Vietnam, they are using atheism above any other religion. So atheism is used as a political tool for control. It seems so like that. Well, in Malaysia, it's totally different. Islam is being used as a political control by the state.
Yeah, so the sad thing about this news is that these religious leaders are actually quite neutral. They don't have they're mostly apolitical. They don't have a political view, but they are still being oppressed by the communists because they don't want these people to practice their religion freely.
So, in fact, whether it's atheism or Islam or Buddhism or whatever religion it is, it doesn't. I mean, the belief system itself do not have any, I would say, negative connotation to it. It's only when it is being used by the authorities in power that it has a negative effect on society. So, the next one is by Brunei Times. So, industry experts remain optimistic about Brunei's, I would say, credit rating for their commercial bank. So the story is like this: the international credit agency Standard and Poor (S&P), which gave Brunei a BB plus credit rating for commercial banks operating in Brunei, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a negative assessment. So tell me more about the assessment.
So from what I know, I'm not too good with this economic jargons and all, but the S&P is the rating given to organizations where people want to invest. And so actually BB Plus is I looked up the ratings, and it's actually on the 6th place. BB Plus, so that's not actually very good, but they're still being positive about it. They're saying that Brunei can come through, so
yeah, it's even being reported that Brunei's economy is still in a stable state.
yeah,
So
they're not having any difficulties, so I guess they can pull through with even a BB plus credit rating.
yeah, I'm sure they can pull through this. So in the Irrawaddy news, the credit bureau delayed by second thoughts about foreign stake. So although the headline is a bit negative, actually the story is not that negative. It's about the Central Bank of Myanmar. It aims to form the credit bureau to allow lenders to check the background of prospective borrowers with assistance from the Credit Bureau Singapore. This is according to Yi Min Oh, the managing director of Asia Green Development Bank. So, in a sense, I would say it's good for for transparency to be there.
Yeah, it's a good thing, because before this they did not have the means to look up the borrower's information, like their bill paying habits, their previous loan performances, and that is actually very important for these bankers to know about their ability to pay back the loan. So it wasn't there before in Myanmar, and they have it now, so it's become a lot easier for the bankers to approve the loans and to know if they can pay back the loans, and it's also easier for them to issue credit cards and all, now that they have this means to do it.
Yeah, that's great. I think this is a positive development by the Central Bank of Myanmar. And moving back to Malaysia.
Yeah, let's go to Malaysia now.
Let's talk about Malaysia. And it's not a positive news, unfortunately. This is reported by the fzac.com. So PISA is an assessment body, right? They rank Malaysia at the 39th spot out of 44th country. So this is a ranking on the ability to effectively compete in the corporate world. So unfortunately, we have less than 1% of top performers among adolescents in school who are able to do that. This is not really a positive development. It's just showing that we are, the younger generation in Malaysia, we are not able to compete.
Yeah, that's
with
actually
the world.
sad. Well, PISA actually stands for Program for International Student Assessment. So what happens is that we actually scored 39 out of 44 countries.
Yeah,
like you said, which is quite bad. So our overall score was only 0.9%. And the top performer can actually be found in Singapore with 25% of the students.
And they are just our neighbor, right?
Yes. So why do you think that it's that bad in Malaysia?
I think it's too bad because probably I think all Malaysians has been talking about this. Our education system do not provide an enabling environment for the young people to, to stand on their feet. And we have been, educated in a way that everything has been based on the approach of spoon feeding and exam-oriented system. And the fact is, the way we learn is very one-way way of learning.
It's just a lot of memorizing, and they're not taught to question.
But then it's not saying that the top performers from Singapore, Korea, and to the extent China, Shanghai in China. It's stated as Shanghai. It's not that they don't have exam-oriented education as well. It's just that.
But they have probably strike the balance between exams and field work.
And also the fact that our education system is very much on towards the approach of spoon feeding. I think that's the biggest problem. So that's why when we go out, we are expecting that life would be the same as what our school would provide us. So unfortunately, the reality is not like that.
Yeah, we need more thinkers.
So the next one we have in today's online. This is in Singapore.
Yeah, it's very interesting news.
Yeah, we just mentioned about Singapore. Singapore has totally different problems and different solution as well. So the government there are giving vouchers or gold coins among ideas that they would think would be good for baby gift packs. So their society are facing a negative population growth, I would say, a very low percentage of population growth, and the way the government their solution is to provide gift packs, and one of it is gold coins, vouchers, milk powders, a year's supply of diapers.
Yeah, that's actually to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Republic's independence. And the person who is overseeing the population issue, Miss Fu, she actually said that the gift pack is not aimed at improving the birth rates. It's only to...
Are you sure?
It's to send a signal that having a baby is a wonderful thing. I think I actually beg to differ, because I do know I've a number of friends in Singapore, and they're always telling me about how the government is intimidated actually by the number of declining Singaporeans and increasing Malaysians there. And
so they are scared of us Malaysians.
Yeah, when I went to visit my friend in NUS, they actually had little envelopes outside their door. And when I asked my friend what was it for, she said they actually encourage the guys to leave love letters for them. It's encouraged by the university, which was of course under the government. So it's to that extent they want people to go out, start dating, have babies. So I think this is another move to encourage people to start a family.
I don't know. I mean, it's a good. I would say it's a good initiative by the government, or at least they have good intention. But do you think it is relevant for the state to breach upon your personal life and sort of provide you the way or the how-to for dating and forming relationship?
I think the government is just intimidated because in Singapore it's mostly Malaysians and also people from other parts of the world, and they're not happy with that. They want to have more of their own people, more Singaporeans. So they're probably willing to go to that extent of interfering into your sexual life.
and I guess the deeper question that probably the government should answer is why the birth rate is too low. Is it because Singaporeans are not making love enough, or is it because there's something deeper?
I think they're all busy studying. Maybe
I think the deeper question is maybe because the cost of living in Singapore is too high. The cost of bringing out a baby in Singapore is extremely high. So it doesn't create any positive encouragement for anyone to have more babies there. maybe
Which is why they need to give out gold coins now.
maybe the government should have a better approach on this. I believe. The last story of today, which is about which is in Philippines,
yeah.
is about a campaign. It's called "You Are the Target" Global Marlboro campaign found to target teens. Sorry, that's the headline of the story. So it is about the campaign, the tobacco company campaign that is selling cigarettes to. The campaign is against the tobacco cigarettes because the tobacco cigarettes are also, selling cigarettes to kids. And there's this campaign called Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. Advertisement on billboards, bus stops, and outside retail store is by Matthew L. Myers. He's the president of that particular campaign. He said that Philip Morris International claims it doesn't market to kids, but the evidence in this report show otherwise.
Yeah, so what happens is Marlboro is supposed to be, their advertisements are supposed to be in line with the Tobacco Free Kids campaign, but all their advertisements turn out to be aimed at the teenagers.
Yeah, example of the ads, they feature attractive young people partying, falling in love, playing music, engaging in adventure sports. I think I would love watching those kind of advertisement, but
because we can relate to it.
Yeah, we can relate to it. But it is by, a tobacco company. They have their own personal interest to sell more cigarettes to younger generation.
Which is why Matthew L. Myers is not happy here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also a pledge here that I think our listeners can sign. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, maybe you can share more about it, the campaigns or the pledge. It's
well, they're basically asking Marlboro to drop the ad, and the listeners can submit their signature to demonstrate the global community's resolve to make the tobacco industry accountable for all the harms it causes to society.
Yeah, and where we can sign the pledge, by the way?
Well, the link is pretty long here, but I think we can post it on our Facebook page, maybe.
So it's in Durian ASEAN Facebook page. You can find the pledge itself.
Yeah, and they have to do it by 18th of April.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, this is our top 10 news for today. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you for listening.